Welcome back, and we're gonna do the recap of the round 11 candidates today. So let's go. So the first game, this was pretty incredible actually. Okay, let's take a look. So Nakamura beats very solid Prague with black. Huge achievement. Huge achievement, and he does it in this really weird Tarish, I believe. Yeah, it definitely came as the surprise for Prague. He was trying to remember the lines probably. I mean, taking on d4, taking d4. This is all pretty well known. But now is the. But now Prague already spent 20 minutes. Yeah. He spent 20 minutes trying to figure stuff out here, and Nakic is blitzing out his preparation. G3 is very logical, trying to do the Catalan bishop. Knight c6, bishop here, and a5. Again, played really fast by Nakamura, part of the preparation. And White's problem is this knight on b3 is going to get pushed. But it's not so clear. Knight on d2 is actually not so bad. He can go to c4, to e4, but black does get rid of his undeveloped queenside. Rook has room to maneuver. Pawn can go further. And theoretically, this should be like a draw. Okay. I mean, if White knew the result of the game, he would not play for a win. He would probably just castle here and play something like this and make a pretty much easy draw here. I mean, black has to play something like this. Now you can play knight b5. Check is strong because you're gonna take the bishop. If you play rook c8, White has a lot of moves. He can play knight b1, knight c3. He can play b3. Just trade everything. Also prepare knight c4, because if you take on c4, then you have the open b file, pair of bishops. So in general, this position is should be very solid for black. I think White has a minimal advantage here, especially after bishop b2, pair of bishops, slightly better pieces. This would have made a lot of sense if Prague went for this. But it's kind of curious. He decides to go knight b5 here in the line where he clearly is not prepared, and then he goes for the sharp stuff. Yeah. So bishop b4 check. And as we can see, black is now fully equal because king on a7 is very safe. This knight on b5 and knight on b3 are kind of not that great. Also, black rooks are going to be connected, and again, white knights are very awkward. Black knights are really good, well placed. So now White has to be actually careful because he's now actually worse. Yeah, I'm surprised because Prague is usually pretty good in the end games, but in this game he is he's struggling. A4 played after considerable time. Yeah, almost 20 minutes of thought. Yeah, very, very strong, because this knight is strong. Yeah, so black rook prepares to actually get this knight out. First line move too. And if this knight goes back to c3, all these squares are controlled, and knight sort of blocks your own rook. So knight c4 makes sense to stop rook a5. Yeah, but after bishop e6, rook c1 must be played, and now we have rook a6. You cannot play rook c8 because of knight b6, so rook a6 first, and now black is ready to play rook c8. And castles looks normal. Okay, rook d8. So this is a critical position pretty much. And I really, really don't like this move. I really don't like this move. I think it's the beginning of a lot of problems for White. Black has definitely the square in the works for his knight. So e3 would be very, very logical to play, stopping this knight on d4. The problem for White is how you're going to play. What are the next moves? Yeah, what are the next moves? Because knight cannot move. You can probably play knight c7 though. This knight has no moves, but black also doesn't have a lot of moves. Okay, so this is the kind of position where there is mutual things going on. Hi Andromeda, how are you? So, but I think e3 was very, very logical to play, you know, taking the d4 square away, because knight e3 really doesn't do anything, and it kind of fixes your pawn here as a target, especially for the knight coming to d4. I also want to see what happens after knight c7. Okay, I think after knight c7, it's probably a problem for white, because again, this knight has no squares. And if you play rook a4, with the idea of having this option, but after rook b2, even if you play e3 here, this knight is kind of stuck, and black really can play either rook d6 or rook dd2, and again, this knight is stuck. It is advantage black. White rook is also very awkward. So that would seem like a solution to get rid of this bishop, but knight is way too far. Again, e3 makes a lot of sense, because I don't see how black can use this awkward knights as the to attack them. Yeah, there is no way to attack them. Rook d5 runs into knight c7. This rook, all the squares are taken, so you have to attack this guy, but there is no way to attack this guy. Okay, yeah, the rook d3 is probably the idea. To play rook b3 is the only logical idea. And now rook c2 with the idea of doubling the rooks, potentially later hitting the knight. So rook b3, knight c7 now is forced. But now as the rook left the d file, that means the knight can go to d5. Okay, so that's why rook b6 is probably not a good idea. You play here, and you want to win this pawn. Yeah. So the big question becomes, what is this position? I'll probably even play something like this, actually. I think this makes more sense. And you can either take on c6, and it should be a draw, pretty much, or not. Rook d7, rook goes to b3, yeah. I mean, still, this is very, very drawish. The rook end games are all pretty much drawn. But yeah, maybe you can play rook c1 first here. Rook c1, rook a6. Yeah, but yeah, this is admitting that white is worse anyway, yeah. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so, but after knight e3, I started to think that Naka has very good chance to win this game. So rook a5, logical. Take on c6 is logical to prevent knight d4. But now the bishop is very, very strong. Yeah, and rook wants to go to d2. So you have to play knight b1. There's no choice about it. And I was very, very surprised here that white didn't play rook c5. Yeah, to me this was absolutely incredible. Because you're gonna open the rook and hit this guy. So if king e6, rook c1. You king d6, king d6. You should be able to play this also. And you're threatening knight d2. Okay, so knight e4, check. And you have to go here, otherwise the pawn is hanging. And it seems to be like a draw. Wait, yeah, you have to go back, yeah. Okay, it seems to be like a draw. So that was probably a draw. Instead, white plays f4 and tries to undermine this pawn. If you take, rook takes. But again, white is worse, yeah. It is. I think it's absolutely clear. Let's make it clear that white is worse with the knight on b1, having to protect this square against infiltration by the black rook. E4 and okay, and now you have a chance to play rook c5, since the rook can move now to g5 or e5. You should use it. Yeah, rook c5, king f2, king here, rook fc1, and king e1 and knight d2. Okay, that's the plan. So after rook c5, white is completely okay. White is completely okay. But he plays king f2. I mean, white is also okay here. So let's see what was the problem. This I really don't like. Yeah, you need to get that rook out. Get that rook out, active plays to a5, a7, to g5, then knight c3. But Prag was down to 26 minutes. They both actually, you know, they don't have a lot of time to play this endgame. They still have to make 18 moves, which is about 1 move per minute for Prag and less than 2 minutes per move for Naka, which is kind of time trouble. Yeah. So Prag is probably still playing for a win here. G6. Yeah, I like how Nakamura plays prophylaxis here. You know, with the knight on c3, the knight is not going anywhere. So Naka plays g6 and takes care of this potential check. Yeah, yeah. I really don't like this move because this knight has no future at all. Like, okay, and your rook is not playing, so why not get this rook out of there, man? Okay, rook d2 first, but okay, g6 is fine. I also don't understand why g4 and g5 is not being played to force the knight trade or something. Okay, I think g4 with the idea of g5 forcing knight d5, and now even f5 here. Yeah, looks playable for white. Yeah, you're threatening to take this guy, and if you take, you can probably take even with the rook. Yeah, you can take with the pawn, but I think rook takes is fine. Rook d2 runs into knight c4. What is the problem with this? It's a good question. Knight c4 here. You win a tempo, yeah? Okay. Yeah, so there are a lot of tactics here, but in general, white is doing well. But rook b1. So the idea is to play rook fc1, king e1. It's incredibly passive, yeah? In endgame, you can't play passive. That's one of the things you cannot do in the endgame. Knight e5. Okay. What is the problem with knight e4? The problem is that there is this and check, yeah? Actually take on a4. And you're threatening here, and rook b3, but it still should be a draw. I think this still should be a draw. King f3 runs into big problems, yeah? Because this rook endgame is very, very unpleasant. Okay. So, Naka the tactician. Alright, rook bc1, but I mean, it wasn't the reason for white to play rook b1, to play rook fc1, yeah? So change his mind, yeah? So white is extremely unsure. 12 minutes, 14 moves to make. Naka is feeling, you know, the sense of blood, yeah? And starts to play absolutely amazing, strong chess here at this point. G4 is good. But now, you know, knight f4, yeah. So the question, knight e4 runs probably into just, yeah, rook f8. And suddenly we have huge problems here on this line. One of the problems is that this king has really no squares to go, and there is a lot of checks coming. Yeah, it's incredible how quickly position can go south. So king e3, but now this is lost, yeah? So Prag had to find the only move, which was king e1. King e1, and if rook f8, you must not take here, but play knight e3 to prevent knight g2 check. And this is still already, still problematic, yeah? So he plays king e3 after knight e5 check, amazing move. Take and c5, yeah. And suddenly this king is in a huge danger, yeah. Rook e6, knight is terrible. A lot of weaknesses, you know, there is material equality, and it sounds like, you know, white should be okay. But bishop and pair of rooks now demonstrate clearly the strength versus two rooks and knight, especially active rooks like this. Very passive rooks and terrible knight, yeah. Actually, big advantage for black. Rook f4. Again, not the best way to play. King f4 with the idea of e4, you know, and then maybe giving up the knight and pawn for the bishop. Try to get into the rook endgame, but rook f4, check first, and h5. Naka is very, very precise with 13 minutes, using time only to, you know, calculate, yeah, Yeah, white is just lost, yeah. Knight is gone. Man. Yeah, 95, rook e6. If you play knight f2, it's rook e6, knight e4, g5. So he plays c4, bishop moves, and that's only square for the knight. But obviously that knight is not gonna stay for long, yeah. He's completely cut off, and white is completely lost. Yeah, they just play here, you know, because Pragg is very upset. He wants to play some moves to get his psyche back in stable situation, but normally you don't play positions like this, especially in the candidates, okay? It's just that shows that he was very, very upset. All right, but you know, he was playing very passively the whole endgame, and he was wasting a lot of time. Yeah, this was a very uncharacteristic game for Pragg, but a great and amazing endgame play by the Nakamura. So, and Nakala goes into the clear second place. Let's go into this game quickly, then we go to Nepo's game last. So, Gukish versus Fabiano, expected something very solid, and what we see is very solid Queen's Gambit, Carlsbad line, except that Fabi plays this g5, which is sharp, but black gets pair of bishops, but white gets the control of the f5 square. So long-term dynamics is approximately equal. Bishop g7. Castling here says that, you know, I just won't play normal position. I'm not scared of your attack here because, you know, potentially I have e4. But normally white doesn't castle so early. He keeps an option of castling actually queenside if he plays for a win, and then tries to go for this g4, f4 something. That's what I remember. But okay, castling here, queen c2. Now black castles here. Again, if white plays bishop f5, black can respond by playing bishop e6, you know, proposing the trade where the pawn moves to the e file, or he can just play queen f6. And again, this Carlsbad is not so bad for black. b4 makes a lot of sense. Okay, Carlsbad attack, rook b1, a4, knight goes to d7. Yeah, the ancients always suggest knight c4, but the only time you play knight c4 here is really when you're absolutely certain this is a good position for you. Because, yeah, but here it looks actually okay. b5, rook f d8. Yeah, I kind of like black's position here because you cannot get to this pawn, and black has a lot of ways to protect it. Yeah, I kind of like this position. I'm actually surprised Fabi didn't play this. I'm actually very surprised. Maybe he thought knight e5 here. Yeah, makes sense, because then you're gonna play for f4. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. This may be the reason, yeah, because if white gets f4, f5 in, then it's a big problem for the bishop, and there's always e4. Yeah, amazingly, the ancient suggests knight, bishop d5, and bishop e6 actually, so you can hit this guy, actually provoking e4, yeah. But apparently black is doing well because you actually play f5. That's how you stop it. That's how you stop f5, and now black's pair of bishops is very, very strong. White has some weaknesses, and any of the opening position leads to a position where black bishops are very strong. The reason is knight g6 runs into this thing, okay? So white doesn't have knight g6 actually. Like queen e8, yeah, and bishop d4. So that's tactical protection of that pawn. So, I'm pretty sure if Fabi saw this, he would probably play knight c4, because ideally this knight goes to d6. The best square for the knight in Carlsbad and everywhere is knight here, like always. Knight d7 is where you prepare the c5 and then going to c5. Your white plays b5, okay? I mean, something like this. The knight here is really well placed. But the thing is, white is not playing b5, he's going for a4 plan. And that means the knight is going to c5. So, and now we reach this critical position pretty much. Black has clear weakness, but it can be protected either by bishop, by the rook, Center is very stable, which means black has no choice but to play for a 5 f4. It's the only chance he has. But, you know, again, the pawn structure, if you play a 5, it's absolutely certain white's going to play 95. And the question is, who is black okay here, or he is worse? Yeah, critical question. So f5, queen c3, following up with the plan. I kind of like the engine play first, rook b6, force this bishop to c8 or one of the rooks to protect this guy. Because if the bishop protects this pawn, that means the bishop will not be able to take part in the attack here. Okay, but queen c3 is fine. So rook f7, black protects the pawn, wants to double the rooks and goes for f4. And okay, white does the same thing. But you know, when I first saw this idea by the engine, I was amazed. I mean, I thought it was impossible. I mean, how can you play chess like this? Like rook f8 and rook h1, okay? And the idea is to put the king on g1, the rook will protect the king on the h file, actually. So f4, yeah? f4, but apparently this is actually okay for white. Because again, double pawns actually safeguard the king really well. Now you have the open e file, and black king is also open. So this is very interesting way to play. I'm thinking this is actually a pretty new way to play for white. The whole point is the pawn majority that white has here is because of this terrible pawn structure for black. Yeah, white 3 pawns hold 4 pawns, which make this 2 versus 1 here. And of course, white also has the possibility, you know, where he can start to play here. This pawn is absolutely critical, takes away the square from the rook. And there are no checks, yeah? All these squares are taken. Rook f3 looks reasonable, but the problem is there is this check on queen f3, okay? Yeah, if you don't have this check, then, you know, but even if you don't have this check, white can just trade this rook. And black has only 2 bishops, which is not enough to get to the white king. Yeah, and if you don't play f4, if you kind of like hold on to it, yeah, like king here, you wait for the king and then you play f4, yeah? Yeah. And then white can just play something like this, e4. And now this rook is very, very useful. King is safe, and rook is useful attacking this stuff, okay? Again, this pawn, doubling of the rooks makes look really bad. Yeah, so that was one way to play, but okay, rook b4, and I don't understand rook b2 move. Okay, he protects the a5 pawn, yeah? But I think black makes this useful move, and white loses the tempo. Rook e8, and knight e5, white finally goes for f4. If white protects the knight by f4, he is much better. So black must be fast, okay? So he takes and plays h5. Yeah, f4 you don't play here. Okay, for tactical reasons, yeah. So he plays h5, f4. Yeah, and this was very strange decision. Yeah, this was very strange decision by Gugish. To be honest, I couldn't understand why. But on the other hand, black is very solid, yeah. There is no pawn break, pawn easily protected, and potentially black has rook g7, h4, yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see. Rook here, rook e7, like king f2, yeah, and h4, and black is actually threatening to get to the white king, yeah? That's why you also need the rook on the h file. All right, so, okay, now that we've seen the danger, let's understand why he took it. Rook f3. So, white has a weakness on e5, it's countered by weaknesses on f5 and b7. The position is equal. I really like rook b4 to h4. Because if you trade this pawn for this pawn, with this pawn alive, I think it's a better deal for white. Because the rook on h5 creates a potential queen d4, queen f4, queen h4 situation. So you really need to play rook b4, rook h4, okay? This is the most likely line. Yeah, if you trade the queens, it's definitely a big advantage for white. Big advantage. This is terrible structure, and you cannot get to this pawn. That's the biggest problem. And now white also plans to use the pin. Yeah, this is the big problem for black. Okay, 7 must be played, king here, king g7. Yeah, but maybe okay, maybe black was fine. Because g4 you cannot break, yeah, and you cannot hit this guy. So you don't take this pawn because now rook has access to these weaknesses. You must play rook f4. And black just stands, yeah. g4, king g5. I mean, white cannot improve his position, amazingly enough. Position cannot be improved. Double pawns, active rook, passive rooks. So, advantage white, but not as much. But okay, Gukish plays rook f2, just hits the guy. Queen b4. What is the difference? I'm trying to understand the difference between queen b4 and queen b2. What is the difference? But now you take. Okay, the difference is that this pawn is protected after the trades, yeah? Yeah, okay. And you cannot take on e5. After queen b4, that's the difference, okay? That is a critical difference. Wow, okay. So Gukish made, again, he's 12 minutes for 10 moves, yeah? He is playing inaccurately. Accuracy is important. But okay, queen e5, and you need to calculate this line. Yeah, I need to calculate this line. Queen c3. Queen a6 or bishop f5, yeah? Which one? Apparently you can take here. Yeah, if you trade on f5, you know, white is better. Okay, so you must take here. Bishop d7. You still have this move. And black is fine. So, but if you don't take on f5, you take here, queen c5. Yeah, this is really strange position. Really strange. I think white should be a little bit better because this pawn is very dangerous and king is very safe. That's why king h2. The idea is if you take on e3, bishop is now protected and white is going to push this pawn as far as he can. Queen e5, trying to create counterplay. Queen b6, f4 is very likely. a6, take, rook g7, king h8. Yeah, but this looks like advantage white, yeah? This looks like advantage white. Again, with 10 minutes on the clock, it's very hard to play like this. So Gukish plays very safe, just trades, and goes into this drawish. This endgame is absolutely draw. Yeah, alright, so cautious play by Gukish. He had advantage, but decided not to push it. Then we have the miniature, I call it that, between Alireza and Abbasov. After this win, Alireza is actually at -1 score and potentially can go to the plus score. Yeah, so he avoids the theory because he knows that Abbasov is really well prepared. He follows the Nakamura steps, plays b3 line. There is no theory here, people are on their own, and we can see the difference, yeah? Between Abbasov, who is prepared, and Abbasov, who has to use his own brain. Actually, Abbasov was doing okay here. He made a mistake somewhere around here. Yeah. Apparently e5 first and then rook d8 to make sure there is no c5. Okay, this is also not bad. But now we see the problems. Slowly visualizing, yeah. Bishop here. This is already inaccurate. You really need to play this Grunfeld move so you can get your bishop out. Queen f5 looks really bad. And after rook c1 it's already a big advantage for white, yeah, because this queen on f5 is so bad, and you cannot develop your queen side, yeah. So 98, you know, you need to get rid of this best piece that white has on the board. Without this bishop, sure, I mean, if you trade, knight takes, white is a little bit better, but, you know, black has some hopes, yeah, rook b8 or something. Rook b8, rook d1, bishop to e6 or knight to e6. Questions. Probably knight e6 first. So what I'm saying is that, you know, without this bishop, black has more chances to get a draw. He's worse, but he can probably make a draw. Because this bishop is useless if he is not doing anything, if the knight is blocking him. Now he plays, what is he playing? Okay, yeah, he actually plays it, but okay, rook c5, and now he plays e5, which is losing move, yeah. So he went on this plan to trade the bishop, so he should go on with it. Yeah, R11 rook c5 was good. He developed with the tempo, he can do the Alkine gun. Not exactly, you need two rooks first and then the queen behind, but it's the same idea. The b file, yeah, the b file. So queen b6, rook c1, bishop f5, queen here, then it's b4, knight c4. The difference in the bishops is telling, but black, I think black should be okay here, especially if you play knight g5 and try to remove this bishop, yeah. So, but yeah, e5, this move to me is like, how can a guy like Abbasov, you know, who is clearly one of the top grandmasters. Okay, he's 26-32. He's not like top 10 like these guys, yeah. But you know, he won the World Cup, yeah. How can he play e5 here? After e5, you just lost. It's just lost position, and the reason it's lost is because this queen on f5 has a huge problem and double attack, yeah. So he just probably blundered rook d5, but how can you blunder this? White doesn't have a lot of alternatives. It's like the only move. So take, bishop c5, and now look at this position. Bad bishop, bad knight. This queen side is stuck. So he plays this. Very nice move by R11. Getting the file. Rook b8 is like resigning, yeah? You just grab the pawn. Queen c7 was probably the only chance, but then queen d5. And again, everything is paralyzed, yeah? Complete paralysis. Absolute paralysis. Yeah. And after this, it's just lost. Rook d8 resigns, yeah. Yeah, absolutely incredible miniature game. 24 moves, but black can resign after move 18. Okay. Absolutely crazy game. Like, this game is not played at the candidates level. And we get to the last game, which is Vidit versus Nepo. Another absolutely amazing game where pretty much nerves shut down Vidit's good play. Okay. All right. So Nepo's Petrov, not surprise, yeah, and Vidit decides to go into the endgame. Interesting. So we've seen that Magnus outplayed Nepo in the endgame, but as I said many times, Nepo's endgame skills are really good. Okay, I didn't know much about Vidit's endgame skills, so he's gonna try to show here that he's doing good. Let's see. Rook b1, b6, perfectly normal. Bishop e6, again, black counterattacks. Moves the bishop away because that bishop is going to be hit anyway. a4. White has double pawns, a potential cause for concern, but these pawns provide him with the center and some great squares. Yeah, knight goes to e3 definitely at some point. Okay, castles, knight e3. I call this knight and this pawn chain Kasparov's knight on e3. Okay, so bishop g5, well played. One of the points is you make normal move like this and you lose the bishop, okay? You kind of need this bishop on e6 because like Nimzo bishop. So bishop g5, now d5 is met by bishop e3 and c4. All right, I guess c4 is playable. Bishop b5 or bishop e2, bishop. Yeah, the big question where to put this bishop. Yeah, you can put this bishop on this diagonal, but it's not going to be doing much. You can put it on d3. It's a developing move, but again, bishop is not doing much here. So big question, where does the bishop go? Not so easy to say. That's why Vidit plays waiting moves. He wants to see if he can improve his pawn structure. Maybe he can play bishop d2 e5. Maybe he can break through with c5. Yeah, he's also preparing d5 again. So rook e8. Okay, preparing the retreat. I like h4. Okay, I like how Vidit plays here for now. C3 is not the kind of move that I like because pawn here protects the center, yes, but it kind of is being fixed on the wrong square and you close your own bishop. Yeah, that's why I agree with the computer. I think bishop d2 was very interesting, but bishop d7, yeah, rook a1, knight c6. Yeah, black actually doing already really well because of the pawn structure. Yeah, yeah. So black has to be careful actually here. So c3, okay, c5, knight to d7. The problem is king d2, and this threat forces black knight into this off-course square. You want this knight on f6. Ideally, you want this Nimzo knight on a5 to hit this guy, but you cannot play this. Which is why, you know, bishop d7 I think makes the most sense to me. You attack the pawn, and you prepare to get this knight to a5. This is the best square for a knight, okay, in this position. It's on the side of the board, but it's the best square because he has one function and he is going to do it really well. He's going to hit this guy forever. And potentially there will be a fork because white needs to protect this pawn, okay? So to me, you know, bishop d7 makes a lot of sense, but Nepo plays c5. He wants to hit this pawn chain immediately. Bishop d3, threatening bishop e4 at the moment. So knight c6. The idea is if, yeah, and we now have forced line. Yeah, this is all forced. Take. So again, I think this position is better for black. Double pawns in the endgames are very vulnerable. So weaknesses, black has superior minor pieces. Knight on e3 is not so good. And this bishop is definitely bad, yeah? So definitely advantage black. So king e2, logical. Connecting the rooks, potentially rook d1. You need to stop d5. If black manages to get d5, d4, he is definitely better. Because then his whole pawn chain starts to move. Right? So rook d8, g4 first. Okay. So like if d5, then I guess it's this, and then yeah, you cannot take this pawn. Yeah, you cannot allow this because now king is dead. So I gotta play f4, and that means black can actually take here, maybe even, yeah. But knight c6 kind of makes more sense because you want to play d4 and e5 again. Open the rooks and start creating some problems for white. Yeah, but I think you can take it also. Take. a5. Yeah. Now, if you take on a5, this pawn structure is definitely okay for white. Yeah. I mean, look at this. It's crazy bad. Yeah, rook b8 probably. Yeah, okay, but not clear. So Nepo plays g6. He wants to keep the bishop on this diagonal. Makes a lot of sense. G5. Yeah, okay, so this is critical position. And for this critical position, let's see the time management. Yeah, both players, they have 20 moves to make. Nepo has 1 hour, and Vidit has 27 minutes. Terrible, terrible time management. He has 27 minutes to make 20 moves in this ultra complicated endgame. This is not actually an endgame. This is between the middle game and the endgame because we have a lot of pieces still on board. Yeah, it's not exactly an endgame. It's like Berlin, very complicated. Yeah, so this position, black wants to play d5. White has some chances to play f4, h5 here. With the pawn here or with the pawn on g5, which one is better? I don't know. You also have a5 and potentially rook going here or hitting this guy. Yeah, so a5 is always useful because you kind of want to break the chain if black plays d5. Yeah, so very complicated position, extremely complicated. I mean, you want to play a4 for sure, but then this pawn is hanging, and if you spend time protecting it, then after d5, d4 is coming. Okay, h5 and even g5 here is possible. Yeah. Again, thanks to the central rooks, white cannot really do anything. Look at this terrible knight on e3. Terrible. So, g5, okay. And then a5, and his idea is to... I'm not sure he needed this check. Why would he need this check? No, not the check, but why would you invite this rook to d7? Okay. He wants to trade the rooks, so he can hit this guy and play knight g4. Alright, so actually I thought, this was not a bad idea. He managed to activate the knight and actually put it on the great square. And the knight now is heading to f6, making this guy a prisoner. And he also potentially can hit this guy, but at the cost of the pawn. Alright, so rook b8. You need to protect the pawn, also activate the rook. Bishop f4, okay, check. King f3, reasonable. And this move is already a huge concession. Yeah, I thought rook b6 was the only move, to be honest. And then you sort of put the rook here and a4, start pushing the extra pawn. Yeah, the reason e5, one thing about Nepo is he hates passive positions. Okay, so he hates passive positions. He needs to get rid of opponent's active pieces. That's what this move does. Yeah, he gets rid of this pressure so his rook can stay active, but he now can forget about the d5 break, and he gives all these nice squares for white knight, potentially the king. And okay, bishop e3 looks good. Okay, and he goes into counter-attack mode. Okay, that's what he wanted. The problem is that after knight f6 check, if you run king g7, there is this check, take here, yeah? And you cannot really take this knight, because this bishop, rook, king, and these two pawns, they create huge problems for black, okay? It's just lost for black. But if you don't take this knight, you must play something like this, push the pawn, but this pawn falls. And if you play rook c2, the problem is knight e4, and now the rook is coming here, knight f6, h5, g6, again, huge problems for black. So Nepo plays, I think he blundered. And what he blundered was that white has this idea, actually, h5 at some point. Alright, maybe not here, but okay, let's see it. The idea is that white plays here, you king g7, king f5, okay. Rook takes here, then knight h5. This pawn is going really fast. The other idea is if you play a4, white can suddenly switch to the attack. Okay, and rook h5, rook h7 is coming really fast. So knight c4. Yeah, you cannot take with rook now because black has important check. So you must take with the knights, but yeah, here check. Yeah, you needed to calculate this, and black has to very precise in calculation. He has to be super precise in this calculation or he is lost. Yeah, because this pawn is like really close, and so is black pawn. Yeah, a3, king f7, a2. Yeah, but now rook a1, yeah, wins. So wow, okay, this is super complicated actually. Yeah, but you cannot calculate this with 12 minutes on the clock. That's one thing, okay? Yeah, so this was, one thing what I think is that Vidit should have gone for this regardless, because he is the attacker here. And it's much easier to play when you attack. When you're gonna play passive, you need to find only moves in defense. It's very hard. All right. The computer also plays really well by playing this move. Knight c4, king e4. Black has a lot of extra pawns, but this is the key piece. If you trade this guy for this bishop is dead. Pawns are weak. White is absolutely fine. So that's why White plays king d5 to attack this guy who is protecting this critical pawn. And also king goes to e6. Alright. See? He even gives the pawn. Black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns versus 3 pawns. 3 extra pawns, but the position is equal. Because White has a huge attack. King f7, h5, mate is coming. And Black must play this, the only chance to make a draw. Incredible. Active king and knight, creating mating nets, which Black is pretty powerless to stop. Actually, White is much better here after b1. And now h5. Wait, h5 here or... Okay, check first. And then h5. And the idea is you have g6. Absolutely amazing move. Yeah, this move is absolutely amazing. Winning for White. You cannot take this pawn. Mate. Amazing. This is a win for White, okay? That's, White gave you everything. Black is up 4 extra pawns, but he is completely lost. Because the mate is coming. Check here, rook h1. Huge mate. So, guys, remember this, next time you have an endgame, try to be active, okay? That's what I always say in my streams. Activity is more important than pawns. All right? So, Nepo plays knight b6, check, here, and Vidit plays king e4, okay, good, a4, rook a1, not bad. Yeah, and now, especially now, h5, yeah? h5, absolutely critical. Take, king f5, rook h4, the only defense. So 98, and the threat is now king f6 and g7. The threat is king g6, and now these pawns fall like dominoes, and White is okay. So h5 was necessary. I don't understand why Vidit didn't play this. He played this move. He played very passive move instead. I think he didn't even consider the idea of king going here. Yeah, he spent 1 minute here and he went into this full defense, and it's still okay. Yeah, still okay. But h5 was like aggressive stuff. a3, bishop c1 looks good. a5, and now actually Nepo is like his only chance here is to play on Vidit's time. Nepo's actually worse here. Yeah, Vidit did a great job outplaying Nepo in this position. a5, a mistake. Take, okay, d5. Okay, I remember what happened. Yeah, Nepo went for this tactic, which is losing. Nepo is lost after this, but it's impossible to see in 5 minutes. And the correct move was this. Take, c4, king c4, bishop a3, king b5. So this position is one for White. Okay, it's almost winning at least. So let's see the defense. There's only one defense for Black. This pawn is coming. Actually, the computer says there is no defense. Let's see it. c4. If king moves, then yeah, okay, right, because we also have the g pawn coming. Yeah, that's why you need the e4 move, so you can have bishop b2. But the problem is that after c6, this pawn is here, right? This pawn is here. And the king is coming to b6, and then g6, g7, and c7, and white wins. Yeah, so this was the winning moment for Vidit. Instead of winning the game, which would put him within the striking distance of the leaders, and stop Nepo, actually put Nepo behind Nakamura, yeah? If Nepo loses this game, Nepo could have lost this game if Vidit finds this king d5 and this whole idea was c4, c5. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I think that he was afraid of e4, because if you take bishop c5, obviously black is winning, but c4, yeah? c4, a4, and now c5. And d6, d7 is coming. Yeah. King g7, same thing, c6, king a4, yeah? And if you do this, then the queen endgame is looks winning. Check. The idea is queen d4 check. Yeah. So Vidit could have won this game. Nepo gambled, and unfortunately for Vidit, he didn't see the refutation. He still plays well. Even here he is okay. Knight e4, good, well played. Rook b5, rook d1. Okay, fantastic play by Vidit. Centralized knights, terrible pawns, still equal. Actually, white is a little bit better. Rook e1 is still okay. Knight d2 is fine. Okay, so he repeats the position. Yeah, he can make the draw. But this is wrong. Yeah. This is wrong for sure. Can you play rook a4? Big question. I think you can, but after you trade, black is fine, yeah. And king comes to f5. Actually, white is a little bit worse here. Bishop is bad. You kind of need the knight. Right now, the difference in the knights is good for white. This knight is not so great. But knight g3, I really don't understand this move. Yeah, he just let this rook b3 into the game. And Vidit is down to some, yeah. Again, knight d2, just draw, yeah? Just draw. Knight g3 playing for a win, but risk, huge risk. Knight e4, and now black can improve his position. This is bad, yeah? He had to play bishop b2 with the idea of knight d2. That was his only chance. The problem is that black can give you this pawn, and because his knight is activated, king is activated, but it still should be equal. Still should be equal, I think. Yeah, but it's already black is doing well. Yeah, already doing well. Yeah, again, super complicated, guys. It's impossible to understand what's going on. But bishop d2 is a critical mistake. You need the square for the knight. You need to get rid of this rook. Black is about to, to improve all his position. Like, compare this position to this position. Okay? Like night and day. Passive rook, passive knight, zero moves, nothing moves, yeah? And what do we have here, yeah? Knight on d5, pawn is alive. Okay, we got back to this position. And this king on a3 plan is like, oh my god, no. King on c2 is well placed. Yeah, he had to find it, knight to a3, and then rook b1, rook d1, which is not easy. Especially with 7 minutes. I mean, black has a very easy game. All he has to do is protect stuff and improve, yeah? Rook b5, okay. I don't understand this move. But okay, stops knight d5, but king f5 is coming. f3, okay. And you take, that's fine. And okay, right. Okay, so bishop g1 first, yeah. You have rook h8. Now you play this. And you have to avoid knight d3. And then you're okay. Then black is worse, yeah. So this was again critical moment. You need to stop black. King f4, check, check, and you take on e5, yeah. And white has extra pawn. So that's what Vidit wanted to get. Unfortunately for him, he made a mistake. He took here first and allowed e4. And after this move, black got rid of his weakness and managed to activate his king. Okay? With the bishop on g1, I'm trying to understand the difference with bishop on f2. The difference is that you have rook b2. Okay, that's the difference. Alright, if bishop g1, rook b2, grab the pawn, rook goes to g2, for example, king b5 makes more sense. Okay, king b3 protect the pawn, rook here, and counterattack. And white is better. Yeah, but after e4, now it's completely different. Yeah, completely different. King now runs and attacks this guy. Yeah, it's the time trouble. The time trouble. Actually, Nepo is also down to 4 minutes, but now he is out of danger. He's completely out of danger, and bishop f2 isn't correct. Bishop g3 is also wrong, but okay. Small potatoes. This is definitely wrong. Getting to the mating zone. King a5 should be played. No. No, this is already a big problem. Okay, king a5 is just also lost. Yeah, okay, so this position is... I think he probably wanted to play this. But... yeah, what is this, by the way? Bishop e5. This looks like a draw, yeah? If I can play h5, g6... is it? King d3? Yeah, it is because you have bishop d6. Which is a draw, but also apparently g7 is also a draw. h4, bishop 5, h3. Why is it a draw? Because black cannot make progress, yeah? Because the bishop takes away the key square. If the king is on d1, white is lost. But king is on d3, he cannot get to d1, and white king gets to c1. And there is no way to get that. Yeah, so that was actually a draw. Because of h5, yeah? So bishop e5 is still a draw. Unless you play this. The bishop goes here, and you need to play this. But then the king arrives here, and pretty much it's bishop e1 just draw. So it was still a draw. Oh my god, he hallucinated, yeah? I think he hallucinated. My god, rook c3 is just draw, man. Wow. So he hallucinated that he thought it was lost, the bishop endgame was lost, and he plays this. Okay, check. Wait, what knight b2? Oh my god. Okay, 95 for sure, yeah? I mean... rook must go somewhere. Where? Rook... where does rook go? Okay, for example... okay, king c2, we have the mating net. I see. I see, okay. So, and if rook c3, I think he missed this part, yeah. He wanted to do this, but then the pawn just wins. Yeah, that's what he missed probably. But why is rook g1 playable? Check. King a3. c4, knight c6. This is very complicated. I don't understand this position. Definitely not a position for 1 minute game. Yeah, we just c4 here, yeah. Because the mate threat. You gotta play this. King d2 probably, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is lost, yeah. Knight g6. Probably lost. Okay. Yeah, so this game is already lost, yeah. Yeah, okay, this is lost game. Yeah, after king d2, it's just c4, yeah. Yeah, so he lost the game in 2 moves. He had a better position, he outplayed him in the endgame. He could have played h5, achieved advantage. He went king c2, and then he had so many chances to make the draw, yeah. And at the end, he loses. He just loses the game, man. Yeah. Yep, loses because he has no time. All right, that was very stressful, but now we have the leader. Because Jan won this game, he could have lost this game, but he won. Again, luck follows Nepo. He's +3, clear first. Gukish is now sharing second and third with Nakamura. Naka creeped in. He's +2. 4 wins, 2 losses. 2 losses to Vidit guy, yeah? Who just lost 2 times to Nepo. Unbelievable. Alright, but that means, you know, even Fabi, who is clear 4th, was +1. He's the only player with +1. Even Fabi still has chances. There are 3 more games. 3 more games. To catch Nepo +3, Fabi needs to win 2 more games out of 3. Naka needs to win 1 game, and so does Gukish. And Nepo still has to play Naka. It's going to be critical. He's going to play Fabi also. And Nepo is going to play Prague, yeah? Gukish has to play Naka. And he has to play Alireza and Abbasov. So for Gukish playing, I don't know what's better. You know, Alireza is now playing really well. So, and Gukish already lost to him. So, actually, things are not looking so good for Gukish. All right. Today, Jan versus Prague. Prague came from a loss yesterday. He is gonna do the draw today. He needs to stop Jan with the draw. Yeah. Naka playing white versus Alireza. Big fight. Big chance for Naka. Yeah. Big chance for Naka. Can Alireza win this? Alireza is a fantastic player, but Naka is just, he's in the top form now. I mean, I'm not talking about Nepo. Nepo is in a good form, but he is so lucky. Nepo is a very, very lucky guy in this tournament. He's not the strongest player, but he's the luckiest player by far. Okay, he saved like at least 3 or 4 games which he should have lost. Okay, Naka I think is the strongest player in this tournament. So he's got the chance against Alireza. Hard to say, but it should be a result. I don't see a draw. Abbasov versus Gukish. Abbasov is kind of down at the moment. He lost a miniature yesterday. He is probably very depressed. He's playing white. He's going to try very hard for the draw. So again, you need to take him out of the book. So that will be the thinking for Gukish. How to take Abbasov out of the book and get the playable position. On the other hand, Abbasov's problem was that he just completely neglected development yesterday, but today he's playing white, so he is obviously going to get full development. So I suspect it's going to be a draw because Abbasov is going to make a draw with white. Yeah, it's very hard to beat a player with black if white wants to play a very solid game, unless you take risk, which I don't think is a good idea for Gukish. And then, of course, we have Fabi versus Vidit, and Vidit is extremely upset after yesterday. Extremely, guys. This kind of loss, which could have easily been a win, it's like throws down you completely. Yeah. So I think Vidit is going to be mentally, emotionally compromised. Okay, let's take that from the Spock from the Star Trek. Yeah. He's emotionally compromised. And it's a good chance for Fabi, especially with white. So again, both Americans, they both have chances to score wins today and make the tournament extremely, extremely unpredictable for the leaders, okay? All right, let's check. I'm gonna check the chat finally, yes. All right, let's see. You just landed Toronto Airport, waiting for Ben Feingold to arrive so you can travel to the candidates together for the last 3 rounds. Great. Amazing how the night was trapped. Naka is one of the best endgame players. And he got under Prague's skin because Prague got into time pressure. And when Naka is one of the best world players in the Blitz, and you really don't want to have low time against Naka. He knows how to put that additional psychological pressure on you and force you to make those mistakes. He knows precisely time when to pressure, when to put strategic pressure, and when to put the tactical pressure. The biggest thing is in time trouble is you missing some tactics. Not like 1-2 move tactics, but deeper stuff, right? Like 4 or 5 moves deep, which was exactly how Prague lost his knight. It was not an obvious oversight, yeah. It was this idea, the c5 rook e6 followed by this pinning all over the place, right? Pinning for winning. That's what Naka did. All right, Hikaru's tied for second was Gukish. Yes, good afternoon. King h2, rook h1, correct. One of the justification is like white is going to play knight e5, now black trades knight on e5. Okay, Nepo again, right? Abbasov, the weakest candidate ever. Well, I wouldn't go that way. No, but he's definitely. You know, all these guys, they all played elite tournaments. Which elite tournament did Abbasov play? I don't recall. You know, all these guys, they have a huge advantage in experience. If Abbasov played at least like 3-4 top level events, you know, with Magnus, you know, all these guys, you know, he would be doing well. Okay, he just doesn't have that experience. Okay, so it's just a matter of experience. Pretty much. Okay, let's see. According to Gaze and Tony, about the same as Philip. Philip, I don't even know who Philip is. Top 4 players playing against the bottom 4 players. Okay, huge chance for Kukic this evening. Well, it seems so on the paper, but in what I see in this tournament, no, it doesn't have a huge chance. Abbasov is gonna play with white for a draw. He's gonna make it. There's nothing unless you play something absolutely sharp. Or unless Abbasov self-destructs. That's the only... Yeah. He's super solid with white. I don't see a win. So Kukic is not actually in a good spot here because he makes a draw, Fabi wins, joins him, and Naka wins, and you know... But still, overall it's a good tournament for Kukic. +2 is an amazing result, yeah? Okay. If Vidit had won, there would have been 2 people 6.5 and 3 people 6. Well, Vidit reminds me of Vishy when he was much younger. Emotionally, you know, not stable, yeah? Especially after losing a game. Here in this tournament, Vidit like played absolutely wild chess, yeah? It is possible that after a catastrophic loss yesterday, Vidit will come back and play even stronger today, but I just don't see it, okay? Especially if he plays black against Fabi, who is gonna just put those screws like Smyslov, you know? Fabi's style reminds me of Smyslov. And what Smyslov did, you know, he really screwed the pieces in and really, like, you know, dominated his opponents. Nep will play for a win? He just won yesterday. If he has a chance today, yeah, why not? But I don't think, but he was very lucky against Vidit, extremely lucky. He could have lost that endgame, okay? Because he misplayed it. He actually had a good endgame. He had an advantage and then he misplayed it. Yeah, I think that, what was his mistake? There was some mistake he made. I think either g6 was too slow, or after he took on a5, rook d7. No, oh, e5, right? e5 was a mistake. Remember? If he kept the pawn on e6, that pawn would take this f5 square under control. White wouldn't have this h5, king f5 idea. Okay? So Nepo's e5 was a big problem, because now the king goes e4, and that's how we got this king d5 is e6, f5, right? That's how he could have lost. But if he didn't play e5 and he just played a4, rook a6, he's a little bit better, yeah. And just king f7, yeah, he'll be okay. But Nepo took risk, for sure. Will he take such risk today? I don't know. If he wins today, he guarantees himself pretty much first place, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. All right. All right. What else am I missing? Nepo wins candidate 3 times in a row. Greater achievement than winning the World Chess Championship. No, it is still only candidates. Remember the movie The Lord of the Rings? You know, Legolas and Gimli, they have the contest, and Legolas kills the whole this elephant, yeah. And Gimli says that still counts as one, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's still only candidates, man. Yeah, it's super impressive, but it's still candidates. All right. Yeah, Vidit is, yeah, he really screwed Naka in this tournament, right? He beat Naka twice and he lost 2 times against Nepo. It's big screw. Yeah, terrible, terrible for Nakamura. But you know, Naka is a fighter. He's back. Yeah, he's sharing second, third place. Just like last candidates, he's showing he's one of the best. If Naka doesn't qualify for the World Chess Championship match, though, the next candidates, I don't think Naka has. Naka's going to be that strong as now. Yeah. All right. Okay. What else am I missing? Strong Jim. He's just being killed like that. Absolutely. Naka is just a streamer. No, he is not a streamer. You guys understand. Naka is playing all the best players in the world continually every week, practicing Title Tuesday. Title Tuesday event where all the best players in the world play. Okay, strongest players. He is practicing his openings. He is doing his tactics, right? He is also playing rapids, and he's been playing OTB chess. So yes, he's a streamer, but he's successfully combining it with the top level play. All right. Fans saying I always say bad things about him. I don't know. I disagree. I don't know who told you that. We have some differences sometimes, yeah. But you know, he is a former team member, a colleague. We've been playing the same team for like a decade, and he is my generation more or less. Okay, not my generation, but he is like, you know, one of the guys that, you know, been in my team again. Yeah. Yeah, I can disagree with some things he says or does, but you know, I'm always rooting for the guy. Okay. All right. All right. Napoleon won against Dink the last time, was crazy. Okay. He had 3-week training camp with Nicholas Harshambat. All right. Well, guys, you must understand, in a tournament where there are a lot of strong players, the guy who is the luckiest is the one who wins. And guess who is the luckiest guy in the tournament? Okay. I think Naka is actually unluckiest, but he's still second, third place. Okay. But Nepo is absolutely luckiest player in this tournament. Okay. Absolutely luckiest player. So the question is, the guy, will Naka catch him or not? Yeah, I think that's one. It's either Naka or Nepo now. I don't see Gukish competing, but if he wins the game, then Gukish is back. Yeah, I will be very impressed if Gukish joins the Nepo. But to me, it's either Naka or Nepo. Okay, and again, Gukish and Fabiano are close behind. To me, theoretically, Fabiano and Gukish has equal chances to catch Nepo, even though Gukish has half a point more. But to me, Fabi has, especially after today, yeah, when Fabi plays Vidit and Gukish plays against Abasov, because I don't see Gukish beating Abasov, okay? But I can certainly see Fabi beating Vidit. And then Fabi will be just like Naka +2 if Naka doesn't win today and Nepo doesn't win today, okay? And then it will be Fabi, Naka, and Gukish half a point behind Nepo with 2 rounds to go. Absolutely crazy situation, yeah? Absolutely crazy situation. Okay, Mr. Ivanov just mentioned that Garechkin gave an opinion that she might be finishing her career. You know, that girl, you know, yeah, I agree. She needs to get a life, man. She's been playing chess, playing for the World Chess Championships. But as a human being, you know, I think she deserves a chance to just, you know, live her life, you know, etc., etc. But again, we also heard like Alireza saying he's gonna quit chess, yeah, sometime like 2 rounds ago or something. And then he beats Abasov. Obviously, he's very happy. You know, he says, "No, I'll play more chess." Okay, chess people, the opinions are fickle. Okay. Okay. It's only when they do something then we'll take them seriously. Like Magnus, right? He said he's not gonna play the World Chess Championship match. He's gonna quit. No, he didn't say he's gonna quit. He's gonna quit the cycle, right? But he didn't quit the pro chess. Yeah, he's playing all the top elite tournaments, but he is not playing for the World Chess Championship match, which is kind of a paradox. But okay. Naka's playing Gukish and Nepo. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's absolutely the best way you can end the tournament. It's all in his hands. He is playing his competitors in direct games, right? After today's games, he'll play Gukish and he'll play Nepo. So that will be a real test how far Nepo's luck runs, okay? Because, you know, Lady Luck is actually fickle, yeah? If you rely too much on that luck, it eventually will run out, okay? So it's a question. And it will be in Naka's hands, especially against Nepo, yeah. Although I suspect it will be a draw. But we'll see, okay? I think, at the end we'll have a tie for the first place. And if there is a tie, do they have tie breaks? I don't know. What are the regulations? Formats. All right, they don't say it. Anyway, gentlemen, this was the recap. Okay, I drifted. So I'll put this recap on YouTube. It should be up later today, tomorrow. We'll see how the predictions go, and I'll do the recap of today's round tomorrow. All right. So thank you for staying. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you guys later. Good night.